Broncos versus Colts.
Bo Nix and the Broncos head to Indianapolis to take on Danny Dimes and the Indianapolis Colts. The Broncos come in as a short favorite, laying 1.5, and the total is at what? What is the total at? 43.5. Luke, give me your prop card here. Denver's defense flat out smothered Tennessee. They allowed just 133 total yards, 62 passing, 2.5 yards per play. That's not defense. That's a prison sentence. That's playing inside of a fucking cardboard box. Offense, however, was gross. Bo Nix threw 3 interceptions, and that fumble, ridiculous. Probably the ugliest thing. It looked like he was trying to pitch it to somebody behind him, except there was nobody behind him. So did he single out a girl in the crowd and say, I want to give her a ball? Here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he was doing. You know, we talk about a lot, and I've mentioned this to you before in the past. He has a lot of that Brett Favre in him. But the problem is he has more of that bad side of Brett Favre, right? Now, the bright side, of course, was J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, 151 combined rushing yards. Meanwhile, Danny Dimes was really just fucking putting on a show. Scored on all 7 drives. It's hard to see that happening again here. I mean, this is a different animal, right? This is the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense is not the Miami Dolphins defense. So, Luke, who are we going to target in this spot?
Yeah, so it's crazy. You said Broncos defense. They looked as good. It was 1 week, but they looked as good as the Super Bowl defense back when Peyton Manning was the quarterback. And on the flip side,
I'm going to argue one point there, and then I'll let you go back, right?
Yeah.
That is a different game and a completely different outcome if Calvin Ridley doesn't have hands like feet. That's all I'm saying.
100%. That's true. It's crazy. Broncos could have easily lost week 1 to Cam.
They should have lost.
Yeah,
like they should have lost
on the road. It's not.
Yeah, they didn't win. They escaped.
It was more than an escape. Yeah. So what I'm going here though is I would have bet anyone in this country would have lost money if they said Danny Dimes would have had the stat line he did and Bo Nix had his. It's just completely reversed from what we would have thought. That being said, incredible buy low spot here for Bo Nix on his rushing yards. I think he's going to be hesitant through the air. You mentioned 3 picks. He's going to go against a Colts defense that's pretty damn good. Broncos had an abysmal week 1 performance. I expect a much better night or day against the Colts. And the Colts made Tua and Miami look like a Canadian football team, but that's just week 1. Last year, Nix covered this rushing line in his final 5 games. What's important to me is the attempts he got. He averaged 5.4 carries per game. I expect him to use his legs. Again, a little more hesitant in the air with 3 picks. Last week, 8 rushes for just 18 yards, only 2.3 yards per carry. Indianapolis plays good coverage. Nix is going to scramble. I think he could cover this line, Jay, at halftime, and I'm not kidding. He's going to cover it early. Lock that shit in. It's Bo Nix over 17.5 rushing yards. Book it.
Now, I will say he's athletic enough to get most of the bulk of that on 1 carry. But does it concern you at all with Sean Payton? Right? Because Sean Payton is a guy that typically has his quarterbacks ready to play. Now, granted, they weren't ready. He wasn't ready against Tennessee, but that could have been opening game jitters as well, right? But do you think that he's going to have Bo Nix up and ready and more so ready to air it out? Or also, what I see, I think the Broncos are going to, head more on the ground. And I don't think, Sean Payton's a guy, we're not talking about
design QB runs? No.
Yeah, design QB runs here. So most of his runs are going to have to come from broken coverages or from from reads, out of pass plays. So do you see that being an issue? Because Sean Payton is a guy that, you don't really look at his quarterback playing without confidence.
Right. That's kind of the public perception. You think of Drew Brees, drop back, never, ever scrambled or rushed for any yardage. I think that he intends Bo Nix to mostly drop back, but Nix has always been that guy. Whether he was at Auburn or Oregon, he always had legs. And so I think what's going to happen here in my mind, Colts are going to take away his first read. They're going to see Ken Nix make his progressions, read 2 and 3, and he might get a little scrambly, might get a little, quick feet, cold feet, and get out of there. I think he's not going to intend for that to be the case. I think Nix does it anyway, just because of his style of play and his inherent Brett Favre-ness, like you mentioned.
And I am going to say this to everybody. The Colts defense is actually not as good as Tennessee's defense. We look at Tennessee as a dumpster fire, but they actually do have a good defense and a good defensive front. So, I mean, look, Bo Nix rushing prop, I can definitely see it getting there. Personally, I'm on the under in this game. I'm going to expect regression from Danny Dimes, right? You have to expect regression from Daniel Jones. The Broncos defense is not the Dolphins defense. Daniel Jones is not going fucking 22 of 29 for 272 yards. It's not going to happen. Not against this Broncos defense. And I don't care if it's in Indianapolis. Defense travels well. I also don't trust Bo Nix. I expect the Broncos run heavy game. I think that's going to be the game plan coming in. So I expect a heavy dose of RK and RJ. They're going to keep the clock running and moving the chains. So, I mean, it kind of correlates, doesn't really correlate, but it does fit the narrative of where you're going with this. I will be honest. You know what? I'm actually shocked that you didn't come in with like a JK or RJ prop in this spot.
Yeah, and I don't hate them. It's just, to be honest, that's the public play. And I'd like to be a little bit contrarian. I think the public saw how bad Knicks was, and they're going to pound the rock because they have two stud running backs. I just think that's where everyone's headed. And so I like to steer away and get a little extra value on another prop. So I'm not saying it's a bad look. It's just it's something that I'm looking past.
Yeah, I'm not on either. I just, you know,
and I was on RJ Harvey last week. I want to clarify that I had smashed his over. And so now I think it's a week where we sit back and see what he does in week 2.
And he got a bulk of the carries. So, I mean, I could see that, happening here in this spot as well, right?
J.A. Cavaliers Pro Football Triple Crown. 3 NFL games for this Sunday. 3 straight, 3 two-team parlays, 1 week, $99. His Pro Football Triple Crown must go 3-0 or the entire NFL season is free. J.A. Cavaliers Pro Football Triple Crown. Link in the description below. Click the link now and jump on the money train.